It's finally time to talk about the first major release of 2017 that I bought, Yakuza 0. Just to make this clear, I'm not a longtime fan of the Yakuza series. I have vague memories of the first game back on the PS2, but I'd be hard-pressed to provide a real opinion of it now. So think of this more as a newcomer's thoughts on this entry in the series, and I think that's a fine way to look at Yakuza 0 considering that the game's a prequel set long before the events of the first game, and many of the characters were created just for this game. It works as a fresh start to the story rather than a historical refresher that's going to leave newcomers lost in translation. No pun intended. I'm just going to say it outright, I can't recall the last time I found a Sega game this enjoyable. The way that this game was able to both suck me in with its rather gripping crime drama, while simultaneously putting a huge smile on my face with the over-the-top combat and elaborately stylish minigames, is something I won't be forgetting anytime soon. Make no mistake, open-ended action-adventure games are dominating the AAA space, but Yakuza 0 is a great example of how to do one right. Everything about this game has a solid level of detail and care put into it, and more importantly, nothing feels like it's a diversion from the core of the game. Don't get me wrong, the core beat-em-up gameplay is a lot of fun, especially with all of the dynamic actions you can perform. At its best, it's got a little bit of that Platinum Games spark to it, but I'd be lying if I said that that was the main draw for me. Between the around 100 side quests and seemingly endless number of minigames, Yakuza 0 has that crazy amount of value, even with a full price tag. Most of those minigames are so thoughtfully designed that I honestly think that they could form the basis for an entire game of their own, and I keep coming back to play them over and over, even after beating the high scores and completing the quests tied to them, because they're just so much fun. If you're a fan of games like Grand Theft Auto or Assassin's Creed, but you wish that the side content was more fresh and replayable, then I think Yakuza 0 is a game that's for you. All of the qualities that make the adventure aspects of those series so appealing is boiled down and distilled to its purest form here, and of course it has its own unique Japanese twist, and that's something that you don't see a lot of in today's market. 2017's been really busy for video games so far. I mean, you have releases like Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda Breath of the Wild that are taking up a lot of space on shelves, but don't rule Yakuza 0 out. All of you who own PS4s, have a look at this game. Part of the reason that I'm making this video is because I don't really feel like Sega's giving this series its fair shot when it comes to marketing. I understand that games where people don't speak English can seem scary to some people, but the realistic story and setting that Yakuza has, I think, makes it far more accessible than your average middle-of-the-road Japanese release. I also think that the release dates for these games is pretty questionable. Yakuza 0 took almost 2 years to get localized, and it doesn't even have an English dub. Not that I'm saying that's a bad thing, it's just a factor when you're valuing localization. But hopefully, good sales on 0 encourage Sega to pick up the slack, because there's like at least 2 Yakuza games that are out in Japan right now that I'd love to be playing. So please, buy this game. Support it. It's Sega. Remember when they made good things? They didn't just produce a bunch of stuff? Whatever. That's going to wrap things up for this installment. Like I said, there are a lot of video games coming out lately, faster than I can play them. But stay tuned in the coming weeks. I'm going to really try to get a lot more content out there and mix it up for the channel.